Now, among the many ideas that Sourav Ganguly is coming up with, there's a typhoon, as I say, in Indian cricket called Ganguly, and he wants to change everything in a rush. But there's some cricketing issues that he has brought up that are worthy of a debate, and one of those is that we have an additional umpire merely to check no balls because of the incidence of no balls not being called, because of issues with no balls, and especially in T20 cricket where the implication of a wrong no ball call can be immense. Now my thoughts on that have long been very clear, and I don't think we should worry about the umpires calling no balls at all. There was a time when you had the back foot no ball rule, when as soon as the back foot was planted wrong, the umpire called a no ball. The batsman had enough time to adjust the shot because the front foot still had to go through and the ball had to be bowled. Ever since we've had the front foot no ball, and we've had that for decades now, I've asked umpires, I've asked players, I've asked bowlers, I've asked everybody associated with the game. Not one of them has said to me that there is enough time to adjust your shot. So if there's no time to adjust your shot, the front foot no ball, the call of the front foot no ball is not affecting the batsman in any way. Where it will affect the outcome of the game is if there is a wicket. And with modern replay mechanisms, I've worked in television all these years, you're literally a button away, you're 2 or 3 seconds away from knowing whether or not a ball was a no ball. So all I'm saying is just let the game go on. The advantage to me is that the umpire's got to look down for the no ball and then up again for the LBW, and if there's a quick bowler bowling, there's just not enough time. And I actually did that little experiment recently when the umpire asked me to stand in where the umpire normally stands and put his front foot just outside the crease at the point of landing. The heel was just inside the crease, which means it was a legal delivery. And from where I was standing, I wasn't sure whether or not that was a no ball, that was a static frame. So if you have a moving frame, it's very, very difficult. And then the umpire's got to look up and be in time to catch the LBW. I did bring this up with someone I respect enormously, Simon Taufer. And he said, we're changing the law to account for the incompetence of people. That for 100 years and beyond, the umpires have looked down for the no ball, looked up for the LBW, and have managed to perform pretty well. I have a little, Simon, if you're watching, I'm not talking to you. But who knows, maybe for all these years, people were bowling no balls and we just weren't checking them. I mean, I remember, it's not an ideal comparison, but when as a 19, 20-year-old kid, I got into the radio commentary box in Hyderabad for the first time, I was aghast at how often a drive was being called a cut, at how often a short ball was being called a full ball, because nobody was checking. As soon as television came in, the quality of radio commentary improved because people could now see what the radio commentator was saying. As soon as the replays started coming in, we started discovering how good the umpires were, and we discovered that it's very, very difficult to do what they were doing. So that's my thought, that you have a dedicated third umpire, or you have a third umpire. You don't need an extra umpire for that because the third umpire doesn't have a lot to do anyway. The third umpire with a technician next to him will know in 2 or 3 seconds whether or not the ball is a no ball. You call the no ball, the batsman continues, you get a free hit, and you're up and running. I think this issue also came up because in recent times, and there was one game that I worked on as well, where a lot of no balls were just not called because the umpires these days are increasingly erring on the side of not calling no balls because they know that if a batsman is out, you can check for the no ball anyway and the batsman can therefore benefit. What that does though is sometimes if you don't call a no ball and there's nothing that you can do because you cannot reverse an umpire's call in a DRS for a no ball that wasn't so. The umpires are now slowly starting to err on the side of not calling. And I think this system where you've got a dedicated umpire checking, well, the third umpire is almost a dedicated umpire, checking that is something that works well.